even and for him, he killed as many people as possible for him to achieve his republic. So let's now look at another group, the Black Panther Party. The Black Panther Party is an American organization. What was the Black Panther Party? I was talking about with my friend about Black Panther Party, and he kept talking about Black Panther the movie. So which well we couldn't achieve what we were looking at, we couldn't achieve what we were talking about because he didn't know about the Black Panther Party, and he was talking about Black Panther the movie. So, but the Black Panther Party, right? To understand the importance of the Black Panther Party, you have to look at the era they came in and what they stood for. And this this organization and what they did is strikingly similar to what is going on in Nigeria right now or may go on in Nigeria. You understand? So, the Black Panther Party came up in a time where African Americans were treated like dogs in America. The police terrorized them consistently. Some of them were killed for absolutely no reason. They were treated as they were inferior, and the social system then enabled it. So the Black Panther Party came about, was formed by Bobby Seale and Huey P. Newton. Bobby Seale and Huey P. Newton. Their goal was to protect their community from police brutality, because if you look at a situation, if the police are supposed to protect you, but they are not the one terrorizing you, what are you going to do? Look at it in Nigeria today, where the police are supposed to protect you, safeguard you, but they are now terrorizing you in dark corners or threatening you with a gun or shooting you or something. As a person, what are you supposed to do? Are you supposed to say, oh no, I'm not going to fight you, will kill me? Or are you going to say, nope, I'm a human being, I have the right to defend myself? Understand? So, so I want you to always see the similarities between what went on in the Black Panther Party and what is going on in Nigeria today. So, the Black Panther Party, what did they stand against? They stood against dictatorship, fascism. They stood against dictatorship. They stood against anti-imperial practices. They stood against racism. What they cared for was a revolutionary socialism. Basically, what they were about is they wanted everybody to have equal rights and equal privileges. If I can have food on my table, the next man beside me should have food on his table. It's not this person has so much food and that person has no food. They wanted everybody to have equal things. And again, they felt that the government of America, United States of America, neglected black people. You see, black people were not given adequate housing. They were stuck in the ghettos. They were stuck with a substandard educational system. They would not be given full employment. So all these things, and even the healthcare was substandard. So all these things made it impossible for a black person to thrive. If you don't have good education, you can't get job. If you can't get a good job, you're always constantly being harassed by the police who is supposed to protect you, and they come to your neighborhood and they may kill one of you people. So you can see it is not an enabling environment for someone to grow. So the Black Panther Party came up with the idea that, see, we are going to come in here, Bobby Seale, Huey P. Newton, and some of their friends, we're going to come in here, and the purpose is to make life better for other black people. That is the purpose. So, how did they go about this? They went about establishing clinics through some community programs, establishing clinics to help heal people that have sickle cell. What they did was they patrolled their neighborhood to ensure and watch cops to make sure that cops don't brutalize innocent people, that cops don't harass African Americans in their neighborhood. That's what they are, and that cops don't kill African Americans. According to UP, what they said is, we are here to protect the lives of our people, our brothers, our sisters. That's what we are here for. So they created, like I said, they created programs to educate people. They created free breakfast for children. So if kids are going off to school, they can come to the place, they can come to the organization, they can eat the food and go to school. It sounds like a pretty good thing to me, And this is what they went about. But the problem was that the United States of America, especially the J. Edgar Hoover, who was in charge of the FBI, they felt that Black Panther Party was threatening their sovereignty. You see, If a government does not want to fulfill a responsibility, or does not or will not fulfill a responsibility, it only makes sense for the people themselves to fulfill that responsibility. If the government is supposed to protect human life and they neglect it, it only makes sense for the person whose life is being threatened to protect himself. And so that's what I think is very, very important. So, but this simple act of this, what they call it, of this Black Panther Party, you see, to protect their neighborhood, they believed that they had the right to carry guns. And that was in the constitution that everybody had the right to carry guns. So they carried guns. And they said it that the guns we are carrying is for defense, so that the police will not come and kill us or shoot us to death. We are carrying it to protect people in our neighborhood. But you know how government is, when you do it, it's bad. When we do it, well, it's accident, or well, we are legal people. We are the ones that are supposed to do it. So carrying of guns, feeding the people that they will not feed, sending children to school, treating diseases became problem. J. Edgar Hoover said that the Black Panther Party is threatening the sovereignty of America and their public enemy number one. So how did they go about this? J. Edgar Hoover, what they did was they started harassing Black Panther members. They framed them up with crimes that they did not commit. Some of them, they killed some of them in cold blood. Example, Fred Hampton, they shot him in cold blood. He was asleep in bed with his wife. They pulled the wife out, shot him dead. And somehow that was just swept under the rug, and well, that's, So in all these things, the question is now, who is the terrorist? Is it the Black Panther Party that are doing humanitarian aid? Or is it the government who is terrorizing the people doing the humanitarian aid? That is the big question. Who is the terrorist in this group, between these two people? And again, one thing I want to address is the stereotype of terrorists too. I'm going to talk about other organizations that I feel that they bring an interesting view on the issue of terrorism. You see, when people talk about terrorists, we always have this ideology that terrorists are people that they are stupid people to kill yourself. At least some people say that you have to be stupid, right? Some people feel that, for people that are terrorists, they don't know what they are doing, they are crazy. But what I learned in the Understanding Terrorism course we took is that people that engage in terrorism, that people that engage or people that are labeled terrorists, then some of them are intellectuals, some of them went to school, some of them are PhD holders. A good example is Huey P. Newton. He was considered a terrorist. He was a PhD holder. Bobby Seale got a degree in engineering and politics. So even though they always create this image of terrorists are people that are useless, they don't know what they are doing, the thing you come to understand is, number one, people that label terrorists, I don't say all terrorists, people that label terrorists, some of them are intellectual minds. And it's something you don't see, because the stereotype always presents all of them as stupid people. And the truth is, I'm not for any terrorist group. Don't join any terrorist group. I'm not for, all I'm doing is the theory aspect. I'm talking about it because it's an issue that you can't talk about in Nigeria without being afraid or being anxious that someone will come and arrest you. The police is not here. That someone will come and arrest you. You see, I remember clearly when I took this course, and after taking it, there was one textbook they gave us, it's like this big. I bought it. So I was not telling my brother that, man, I studied this course on terrorism, that I want to bring it back to Nigeria so he will see the textbook and see it. So the first question he asked me was like typical Nigerian questions, like, why are you studying terrorism? I said, because I want to understand it. And he's like, why do you want to understand it? I said, I want to understand it so I can talk about it. And he's like, why do you want to talk about it? And I'm like, okay, it's like I can't win this thing. Anything I say is, why do you want to do so? And when I brought it back, I felt that I have to hide it because police may see it and assume that maybe I'm about to create one party or some stupid thing like that. So this issue of terrorism, like I said, I will still talk about it in my next segment, but it's something that we, even though it's a challenging issue to talk about, it's something that we should look into. And what I mean by look into is understand the theories, understand what is being talked about when understand the history of these things, because we live in a world where the moment you label somebody terrorist, you can turn the person's life upside down just by saying this person is a terrorist. And that world is very, very scary, because what happens is, if you one day are walking on the street and somebody sees you and say, "Oh, I remember this person was